Welcome to my Wednesday live stream from Bangkok, Thailand. Today we're going to talk about the topic that people have been asking, and by asking I mean accusing me of for many years, some publicly, some made videos about it. You know what I'm talking about, and we'll talk about it in a second. In the menu view in comment section. So today I'm going to tell you exactly how much money I make from Chinese manufacturers, other manufacturers, to talk trash about Tesla, because I sure have talked a lot of trash about Tesla. Now, of course, nobody notices when I praise Tesla, like I did the other day, because they kind of beat the NHTSA investigation that lasted for 4 years and essentially brought pretty much no results whatsoever. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, if you guys don't know, this channel originally was called Everything Tesla because I was a huge Tesla fan. I was one of the first people to buy Tesla back in 2012. As a matter of fact, one of the earlier people who invest into Tesla stock. Also, I think I bought it at $99. Don't have it anymore. And at some point, and I also started with one of the biggest probably still one of the biggest Model S owner communities on Facebook, which I still own. As a matter of fact, all of my electric vehicle owner communities on Facebook now it's over 250,000 members. So still going strong. And with time, I started getting a little sour and more sour and more sour. And Tesla, I ended up, no longer buying them after I think 2018, I want to say. I owned total of 3 Model S Teslas, and I became pretty critical of Tesla and Elon Musk. But of course, if you watch my channel, you know that I've been just as critical of Volkswagen and Rivian and many others. As a matter of fact, that's probably another live stream I'm going to do next week or the week after, since I'm not inviting any more guests. Obviously, I like to be flaked on. To talk about what is happening. Why are electric cars having such a tough year? Why is Tesla having such tough year? As a matter of fact, I believe this quarter may be the beginning of a big problem and downfall of Tesla. I don't mean in bankruptcy or whatever, none of that stuff, but it's probably might be either the end of the empire or proof that Tesla and Elon Musk is bulletproof. But let's talk about it next week. Let's talk about how YouTubers and social media influencers make money. Now, of course, you know that YouTube pays a little bit of money because of all the ads that they run, but majority of us who do make decent money, we get it from sponsorships. So this is just kind of a direct deal between a YouTuber or a social media influencer and the brand. You probably have seen me. The funny thing is, I have taken money from Chinese automakers. Byton was my first sponsor. Candy EV with an I at the end. And then Xpeng Motors. So I have absolutely, but I also taken money from Volkswagen, German automaker, VinFast, a Vietnamese automaker, and many American companies as well. And I think and a Canadian company, Flow. So I've taken money from quite a few different brands, just like any other YouTuber. However, if you're familiar with my videos, you probably know that every time my video is sponsored by any brand, I go out and do more things than any other YouTuber. I put their name on the screen pretty much throughout the entire video. I mention them in the video. They're in the description of my video. Any social media platform that allows you to check the video as sponsored video, I do that. And on top of that, I always have a link explaining what the sponsorship agreement is and how it does or doesn't affect what I say in the video, because some videos are fully sponsored and it is essentially me cooperating with a brand to essentially produce an infomercial. But usually, if you're true to yourself, you do these infomercials about the brands that you already like. So it's not so much an infomercial. You don't say anything that you don't mean because you already like the brand. That's how I've always done it. But I also know a lot of people who will take money from anybody and say anything to make money. And you know what? Business is business. That's fine. It's not me, but it is what it is. So for those of you who have been watching me for a while, you know that I pretty much disclose in more ways than one who's sponsoring me. And on top of that, probably the biggest, I would say, damage that I have done to my own channel was to kick Sandy Monroe out. As you know, even before he was popular, and unfortunately, I kind of helped his fame, I guess, and I'm sorry about that. But I had to kick him off the channel, which really ruined half of my views at the very least, because I realized that he wasn't disclosing the money he was taking from the manufacturers when he was discussing either those manufacturers or their competitors. And to me, one thing I've always taken pride in was transparency and unbiased opinion. So that wasn't okay. And unfortunately, I had to make a decision to kick him off the channel, even though I knew that a very large audience that I've built was partially because of him, partially because we were talking, especially he was talking positively about Tesla, and it is what it is. So for those of you who probably know me for a while, you know that that's kind of how I run the show. Now, what happens when you take money from these brands? Well, that's up to you to decide what you want to do with the agreement. For example, in my agreement, I've always said that, hey, what you're buying is a 30-second shutout, and everything else in that video, my opinion is going to stay absolutely the same. You cannot buy the rest of the video, the rest of my opinion. If there are some topics that I'm discussing that you don't want to sponsor the videos, then tell me what those topics are, which could include me talking crap about your brand. Now, to me, it was easy never to get into conflict of interest because the brands that I had sponsored my channel were the brands that I really like, Byton and VinFast and all of these brands and all of the products like NeoCharge and Flow Chargers and all of the stuff. And even the company that did my hair transplants, right? So every time I could, I was actually also a user of a product. I bought a Volkswagen ID4 I leased it with my own money when Volkswagen sponsored the channel. And of course, you probably remember, if you watch my channel for a while, in the middle of my 1 year long sponsorship by Volkswagen, in one of the videos, I talked crap essentially about the ID Buzz, which time has so far proving me right. It is definitely not a next, generation of a legend. It's just another van. It's coming to America, so we'll see how it does in America. But it looks like they're going to start it at $60,000. I don't know. We'll see. I've actually just seen one down the street from me about yesterday. Yeah, we have ID buzzes running around Bangkok here and there. Not too many, but I've seen a few already. And don't get me wrong, I like that they tried. I like that they essentially decided to remake their iconic, vehicle into an electric version. But they don't really have a great track record with the Volkswagen Bug, with the relaunches, and I think was a failure from the very beginning. Now, once they heard that, and I think the joke they didn't like is that I said that the ID Buzz looks like when a Ford delivery van went to Halloween in a Volkswagen bus from the 60s costume, which is this is what it is. It's a very boring, misshaped, you know, delivery van that just painted like it was like it wants to be the Volkswagen minibus from the 60s. And so they didn't like it. They cut me off. They were no longer sponsoring my channel. Obviously, lots of lost revenue. So if anything, I feel I stayed true myself over and over and over again. Now, here's a problem with the claim that me or any other YouTuber, which does happen, but at least in this case, takes money from, let's say, Chinese manufacturers. Now, if you remember, Warren Redlick kind of accused me publicly of this, and we ended up having a live debate. And in a very weird twist of fate, we've actually, I wouldn't say friends, but we hang out once in a while. He lives now here in Bangkok. One of the few other passport bros that I know, because everybody thinks like, oh, all men who go to Thailand, they're passport bros. I've only met like two more passport bros, but that's a whole different topic. So the problem with that claim is that, as you guys know, that Chinese car makers are not bringing their cars in America, and that's what my target audience is. So that would be quite a waste of their money to help them in the market that they are not competing in. So just the original premise is pretty poor. Now, I got to tell you, I've been in this business so now for 8 years, and I've known quite a few YouTubers in this space, in many other spaces. I've seen a lot of dealership, a lot of deals and sponsorships done. And I got to tell you, not a single time I have seen or heard of a brand that would pay money to a social media influencer to speak negatively of other brands. As a matter of fact, a lot of times my sponsors, especially when they were major brands, would say, hey, listen, we don't want to sponsor any videos that would be talking smack directly about our competitors. Okay, we don't want that. The only stuff that we want to sponsor is when we're delivering a positive message about our brand, and that's it. We're not interested in trashing other brands. So some of them had those limitations, which technically prevented me from making videos that would be negative about other brands, including Tesla. So that's sort of one thing that I think just people don't know from the kind of behind the scenes of how this is done. As a matter of fact, if a brand gets caught doing this, I think that would be quite a scandal. I think that would be quite a scandal because the standard way of marketing on social media, at least on social media, when it comes to this industry and most industries, is that hey, promote your product. Yes, you can kind of compete with others, but you cannot kind of trash them. Very, very few ads actually directly attack other brands, and I can't even think of one. I have never been approached by a brand suggesting that. Again, a lot of times they tell me, "Hey, listen, we don't want to sponsor those videos." As a matter of fact, I had VinFast that pulled their sponsorships of my video when they saw me trashing the publications who created all those negative articles about VinFast, because I caught a lot of them, including Kyle from uh, Out of Spec, essentially saying one thing about VinFast, and when it came to exactly the same thing of other cars that they either had business with or Tesla, which they're afraid to criticize, they would absolutely say the opposite or not say anything at all. So when I caught them, I did this whole big research and I put them back to back. This is what they said about Tesla. This is what they say about VinFast, about exactly the same problem, 5 years later. And VinFast said, hey, we don't want to sponsor this video. And as a matter of fact, if you know my channel, originally it said it was sponsored by VinFast. And as soon as they saw the video come out, they're like, no, we want to have nothing to do with it. Hey, we agree with you, but this is not a video we want to sponsor. So a lot of times it is essentially quite the opposite. Now, this brings me to kind of my bigger point about what's happening, and this is quite sad because I think people, not only America and Western world, has become very tribal, right? And by that I mean you're either in our tribe or the other tribe. And if you're not the tribe, we hate you. And whatever you do or think, it's all wrong. And our tribe is all right. So, for example, if you don't like Tesla, it's not because there are actually evidence of Tesla, poor quality or poor customer service or trying to scam customers or whatever it is that I talk about, unfortunately, almost on daily and definitely weekly basis. It's not because of any of those facts. That's impossible. If you're a Tesla fan, it's impossible. Tesla is perfect. Elon Musk is a supreme leader and a hero, and we don't want to hear it. The only way you can be critical of Tesla is if you're piece of crap who's taking money from the other side. And whatever that other side is, we don't care. Right now, it's Chinese companies because that's the main competitor. Before that was oil companies and so forth. I mean, I get accused of all kinds of stuff. Now, I would love it that if one day we would, this social media, platforms, they protect all kinds of people that really don't need protection, right? But what they don't protect is people who are being accused of something they haven't done. Somehow, that's okay. And listen, I understand freedom of speech is great, but I would love to have an opportunity that, let's say, when somebody puts a comment like this and say, Alex, you're obviously being bought by Chinese automakers. Well, I would have loved to say, okay, well, listen, I would like to go into a YouTube court with you. I would like to sue you for 10, 20, $50,000, whatever. I don't want too much because people have only so much. And then we will have some sort of a company we'll hire that will audit all of my records. Okay, anything you want, access to all my bank accounts, all my emails, every discussions I've ever had with phone records, whatever you want. And you get, like, I don't know, 3 months, whatever. And at the end of the 3 months, if you are unable to prove that I have taken any money from whoever you said I am taking money from, and for the purpose of, you know hurting Tesla or hurting Tesla stock or whatever, well, you owe me 10, 20, 30, $50,000. That would that would be great. I probably not going to happen, but I would really like to have that type of sort of a social media court where people can't just accuse anybody of anything without any type of evidence, which unfortunately is another new part of the culture that we have. And you guys make your own guesses where it came from, where anybody can say anything on social media. There is no more punishment. Um, and People kind of go like, "Oh yeah, that makes me feel good. I also like Tesla, and that guy, yeah, he totally takes money from Chinese makers because how else would he able to come up with this crazy, theory that Tesla is not a perfect company, and that they somehow for some reason promise all these things and charge people money, and then they never deliver. That would be crazy talk. So that is very unfortunate, and I think there's going to be no end in sight of how things are done. I mean, you guys are in the middle of an election. Um, what, last 2 months, 3 months, um, election season, and that's pretty much a great showcase of how people either on this side, on that side, and no one ever thinks that their side can possibly be wrong. I'm independent, and not only am independent, I'm also somebody who decided I did not want to live in a country that is this divided, and I left for many reasons, but one of the reasons was how hateful everybody is towards each other. All right, guys, I'm out of voice. I'm out of time. Almost 4 o'clock. I need to go to bed. It's my bedtime. I usually go to bed around 4 o'clock, so still got to take a shower and get ready for the next day. I have a soccer game tomorrow, so I want to make sure I have some energy. I'm actually going to get to see an electric van tomorrow that I'm going to make a video about. It's now here. The prototype is here, and they're going to build a factory here to produce it. And the story is fascinating. So I'm going to film it tomorrow, and of course, me and uh, the buddy of mine who's involved with that project, we're probably going to go get some crepes. Yeah, probably going to do that. So, all right. Thank you very much for everybody who hung out with me. I hope the sound was good. Last time it was horrible. Sorry, nobody told me. And looks like I will be reposting 3 versions or 3 parts of this live stream. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you guys next time. And remember to stay charged.